A legal immigrant with a long criminal history facing rape and abduction charges. Where else? Northern Virginia. He's been arrested multiple times and deported twice. Now, Homeland Security is urging officials in sanctuary Fairfax County to cooperate with ICE and transfer him into federal custody. Jonathan Fahey is the former acting ICE director and joins us now, as well as former federal prosecutor. This guy's name is Juan Arevalo Mendez. He's got a rap sheet as long as your arm. We mentioned he was twice deported. He is now charged with, we'll put it up here, rape, strong arm, and kidnapping an adult with intent to sexually assault. DHS is calling on Fairfax County not to release this guy. Rape in Fairfax County is a bondable crime. The bond might be difficult, but Fairfax County has got a troubling history of letting offenders like this back out in the streets.
Yeah, exactly. A troubling history of letting them out on bond, a troubling history of dropping charges on very serious charges and putting them back in the community, just like this guy was. The good news here, unlike some of these cases, he's been deported before and charged with the illegal reentry after being deported.
Which is a felony.
A federal felony, which the good news is the federal government can now charge him with a criminal offense, and at least under the Fairfax policies, they turn people over on criminal offenses. But if they didn't do that, make that distinction, they'd release him back out on the streets. And remember, before this rape occurred, which occurred in September of last year, 2025, he had been arrested or stopped by police multiple times before that. So if they had just simply turned him over to ICE before that, this rape wouldn't have happened. And also a subsequent case in January, which incidentally was dismissed, where he fled police, and there was also an abduction case, things of that nature would have never happened. And we've seen so many of these just in the last few months.
I was going to say, how many times have we heard, oh, this probably wouldn't have occurred had that person not been let out? I mean, that goes all the way back to that horrible murder back in Georgia as well. So let's rewind the clock. February 4th, Abigail Spanberger, newly minted governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, said this about not cooperating with ICE. Listen here.
On the first day in office, I repealed and pulled back from what had been my predecessor's Executive Order 47, which mandated the work of Virginia state law enforcement agencies with ICE. Taking Virginia law enforcement state agency personnel and basically giving them over to ICE is something that ends today.
Yeah, you got to think, if you're the governor of a state like Virginia, why would you not want to cooperate with ICE on a case like this?
It makes no sense for the safety of Virginia residents or safety of American residents, but it's just simply political, because it's in the Democratic Party. To elevate within the Democratic Party, you have to be anti-ICE in every respect. But yeah, Governor Youngkin's executive order is purely common sense. Turn over criminals to ICE so they could be deported and they don't go back to your community. Yeah. Why? And that's, again, an 80-20 plus issue, and she's on the wrong side of it, and there's really no defense of it. The defenses they try to use, it'll save resources from law enforcement and things of that nature, but law enforcement doesn't agree with that, because they know there's a lot more resources having to go when these guys commit another crime and going and locking them up, and plus you have other victims that don't need to be victimized, like in this case we have here, and so many others.
So she's made, again, a big deal about this idea that, oh, no, law enforcement in the Commonwealth of Virginia is no longer going to cooperate with ICE, which has led to Spanberger's Virginia, according to the Department of Homeland Security, which includes, these are various crimes committed by illegal aliens: production of child sexual abuse material, intent to defile and indecent exposure, child molestation, carjacking, abduction, assault and robbery, sexual assault, child rape, attempted rape, groping underage girls, possession of child porn with intent to distribute, drug trafficking, forcible intercourse, murder, felony child abuse. That's where the Commonwealth is now in terms of crimes committed by illegal immigrants under her auspices.
It's really astonishing. And when you think, again, which ones could have been prevented if they just had cooperated on previous crimes? Because, you know, remember, we had the Stephanie Minter case earlier this year. Fairfax County had a case where they released a gang member back on the streets. Rather than turning him over on an ICE detainer, he committed a murder within 24 hours or was charged with the murder. So many of these are preventable. Yeah, Spanberger's Virginia is basically, if you're an illegal alien criminal, come to Virginia, we'll take care of you. It's really an insane policy. And the sad thing is, people are suffering, and suffering in the worst possible way in many cases.
And one thing that, residents of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I count among them, should know is that if a criminal illegal alien is turned over to ICE, ICE is not going to let them go unless, of course, a judge orders them to, which we've seen in the past. But they'll get them out of the country.
Exactly, and that's what we want, and it's common sense. And if an American went abroad and committed a crime, they'd get kicked out too. And why would we want criminals, particularly sex offenders, child molesters? It's truly insane, and it's sad when there's politics is always put ahead of public safety.
Would not seem to make sense, would it?
No.
All right. Jonathan, great to see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, sir. Sandra.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.